The prairie winds howled through the desolate land, carrying with them the bitter reminder of loneliness and betrayal. A widow, fragile and abandoned, had been left behind by the very settlers she had once trusted. Her husband had passed months earlier, and with no one to protect or provide for her, she became a burden in the harsh eyes of the wagon train. When resources grew scarce and tempers flared, they cast her aside with little more than a blanket and a few scraps of food. Alone, weak, and certain that death was near, she sat beneath the wide-open sky, tears mixing with dust, ready to surrender her fate to the wilderness. Days passed as she struggled to survive, each sunrise a reminder of her suffering. Hunger gnawed at her body, thirst cracked her lips, and the cold nights made her tremble uncontrollably. Coyotes howled in the distance, and each sound of movement in the grass filled her with dread. The once hopeful woman now lay near collapse, her spirit dimmed, her prayers fading into silence. She believed the world had forgotten her, until a shadow appeared against the blazing horizon. It was not death that came, but life in the form of a proud Navajo warrior. His tall frame and steady eyes spoke of strength, his movements cautious yet filled with purpose. At first, the widow recoiled in fear, unsure if he would harm her, for she had heard the settlers' cruel stories of warriors. But instead of raising a weapon, he extended his hand. With gentle words in his native tongue, and with eyes that carried no malice, he offered her water. She hesitated, but thirst overcame her fear, and in that moment of trust, her life was changed forever. The warrior brought her to his people, where she was tended with care. The Navajo women washed her wounds, shared food from their scarce supplies, and wrapped her in warm blankets woven by skilled hands. For the first time since her husband's death, she felt the comfort of belonging. She watched the warrior move among his people, strong, respected, and compassionate, and found herself silently grateful for the day fate brought him into her life. As weeks passed, a bond grew between them. The widow, once cast aside as useless, learned new ways among the Navajo. She helped grind corn, gathered herbs, and listened to the songs of the people that spoke of resilience and honor. The warrior, patient and kind, stood by her, teaching her strength when her body still trembled with weakness. Slowly, laughter returned to her voice, and the emptiness in her heart began to heal. One evening, beneath a sky painted in streaks of orange and purple, the warrior approached her with a gift, a necklace carefully crafted by his own hands. In his culture, it was not merely jewelry but a symbol of unity, protection, and devotion. His words were few, but his meaning was clear. He wished for her to be his wife. Tears welled in her eyes, for she had never imagined that after such pain and abandonment, she would be offered love again. With a trembling voice, she accepted. From that day forward, the widow was no longer a forgotten soul on the plains. She became the wife of a warrior, embraced as family among the Navajo. Together, they built a life rooted in trust, strength, and respect. Where once she had been discarded to die, she now thrived, her heart full of gratitude. And when the prairie winds howled once more, they no longer carried loneliness, they carried the song of a love born from despair, stronger than any hardship the wild frontier could bring.